Now we're back with this What If, or just like, we're back with part 3 of What If Naruto was Kyoraku'S reincarnation. Now, I know I haven't actually updated this series in a while, and I actually plan on updating this series, right now. So, I know I said I was going to do the finale, but I don't think I want to do another movie special, or not a movie special, but like a large finale where I go from the Land of the Waves all the way to the end of the war arc, or if I ever get to the end of the war arc. Now, I could actually do this finale, but, it just depends. Now, basically, we resume this What If right after Team Senna, like Naruto as their sensei, and Menma, Sasuke, and Sakura would be recuperating, or Naruto would be recuperating mostly, and they'd be training for the 1 week. They'd be chilling, and after during their training and stuff like that, they'd be chilling one night, just having fun. And it was like the day before, they would go back to the bridge. Now, Onari would come in and basically tell them that they can never be Gato, and pretty much go on about his life story just like any other character would do. Now, Naruto would not intervene, and this time he would actually let Sasuke deal with this. Since number one, Sasuke is the one who actually went through the most. Now, Menma in this timeline would just, he'd be stuffing his face, He wouldn't even hear what Nari would say. Now, Sasuke would pretty much do like a small version of, explaining his experiences, saying that, at least Nari has his mom and his grandfather, and he has nothing pretty much. Now, after this, Inari would pretty much head out of there after getting pressed, and that would resume the rest of their night. Now, after this, the next day, they would pretty much get up to head out for their mission, and Naruto, Sasuke, Menma, and Sakura would head out. Naruto actually waking up Menma, not actually letting him sleep. Not that he doesn't care about Menma, it's just like he doesn't want Menma to, be caught off guard. But Naruto would tell Menma to leave a clone here. Now, after this, Team 7 would head towards the bridge to, just, go back to building the bridge. Now, Naruto would be watching out for any intruders, and there would be Zabuza would come. Zabuza and Haku this time were a masked man. Now, basically, Zabuza would start to fight Naruto, while Menma, Sakura, and Menma and Sasuke would fight Haku, and Sakura would protect the bridge builder. Now, Naruto would unsheath his two katanas and basically start to go into a swordsmanship battle with his Zabuza, basically trying to, take him out, I guess you could say. Now, every time Naruto would go to, slash at him, Zabuza would pretty much quickly either turn himself into water or raise his sword to block the attack. But since there's two swords, one of them is like a short sword and one of them is like a longer sword with a longer reach, it would be a little hard for him to handle this. Now, Naruto, realizing that he has to go Shikai, would use the incantation for Katen Kyoketsu, which is actually a long information. It's like a long incantation. It's like flower wind, flower range, heavenly sneer, heavenly wind, and heavenly sneer. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot it, but basically he would do the incantation to go Shikai, and there would be the two blades of Katen Kyoketsu, which would kind of look like, they look like those two blades that Zuko used to save Aang. Those, yeah, kind of like that. Now, after this, Naruto would pretty much gather his Ryatsu for putting his swords right next to each other and stabbing the shadow. Naruto would pretty much say Kageoni, and the piece of the sword will come out from Zabuza's shadow and stab him. Zabuza, realizing that he can't actually stay in the, on the air, on the solid surface, would pretty much try to, go on the water, since he thought, hey, at least water don't have shadows, which it was kind of dumb, because I think they do. I don't think they do. Yeah, they don't. So he would try to basically have a battle in the water. Now, Naruto, realizing this, would pretty much try to have the high ground. Since he is a Shinigami, he can stand on the air. So he'd pretty much try to get the high ground and use Takeoni to stab Zabuza through the rib. Now, he would actually successfully do this, since Zabuza isn't Shinigami or in a wrong car, so he cannot actually like try to get higher ground than Naruto is already at. So he would pretty much get hit by it. So Zabuza would be slightly injured, and Naruto would then use Bushigoni, which is like a large wind attack, sending it straight at Zabuza. Now Zabuza would try to use a water style, like a ninja art water style, water wall, and pretty much he would try to defend himself against this Bushigoni attack. Now the Bushigoni attack would completely slice through the water and create a tornado. Now this would pretty much catch Zabuza off guard and catch him off guard as well, like catch him. Now, after this, he'd be sent flying in with little wind cuts around him and scratches and bruises. And after this, Naruto would just flash step behind Zabuza before stabbing him through the chest, killing him. Now, basically, Naruto would hear like Haku pretty much gets killed by Sasuke and Naruto. I mean Sasuke and Menma, my bad there. And let's just say Menma went on his usual rampage like Naruto, like canon Naruto did, and basically accidentally killed Haku because he kind of went too far there. And bro, he's just been training a lot, so he has way more strength than his canon counterpart does. So that would be the end of Haku and Zabuza. Naruto would bury Naruto would bury Zabuza and Haku, and they would pretty much take the blade with them, since they could actually use this. Maybe Sasuke or Menwa would take interest in trying to use the blade. Now, after this, they pretty much finish building the bridge after like 3 days or a week. And after this, the bridge would be named after Menma. Now, yeah, that's the only way. I don't really think Naruto would want to, so yeah. It would be the Great Menma Bridge. Now, after that, Team 7 would head towards the, back to the village, and they'd be in the village pretty much. So, once they get back to the village, they would pretty much, Naruto would tell them about the chunin exams happening in 2 weeks, and that they should pretty much start training. Now, they would start, they would pretty much nod their heads, and that would spend the next 2 weeks training after resting for one or 2 days. Now, this means that Team 7 will not meet Team Gaara, because number one, they basically were not training. So if they were more focused on training, they wouldn't really have time to be walking around. And that was like 1 week before the chunin exam. So yeah, they'd be more focused on training. And let's just say some other guy's team would pretty much save Konohamaru. And Gaara would ask for Lee's name and Neji's name. Now, after this, Team 7 would pretty much, after their training for 2 weeks, they would pretty much thank Naruto, and Naruto would give them the pet talk at the academy before Team 7 would head towards their exams. Now, let's just think about Team 7 would progress with just like Team Naruto did. Like Team 7, Canon Naruto, like Canon Team 7 would progress. They would meet Kabuto. Kabuto would give them those ninja cars, and pretty much they would have a similar test with Ibiki, with Menma just pretty much using his brass talking to pretty much give inspiration to everyone not to leave. So there'd be the same amount of people as canon. Now, after the test, Anko would still come through the window, and Naruto would be watching from afar or watching through the TV that all the jonin would be watching from, and he'd pretty much still think that Anko is the same. Now, after this, Anko would tell everyone to meet her at training ground number 44 so they could prepare for the second part of the chunin exams. Now, after this, Team 7 and the rest of the teams would head towards training ground 44, or what's preferably known as the Forest of Death. Now, once they get there, they pretty much start preparing for the second part of the chunin exams, which Anko handing out flyers to sign, like if they die, it's not the Hidden Leaf's fault, because other people from other villages are here, they don't want to start war. Now, after this, everyone would sign their waivers, and they pretty much hand it to Anko, and Anko would pretty much say start, after explaining the rules of saying, like, you're there for 5 days, you can't have outside food, and this would pretty much piss off Choji, since, this bro is, like, packed with snacks. Did that rhyme though? No, never mind. And she would pretty much tell him that you would have to hunt for your food. Now all the teams would pretty much run in after her explaining the rules and her saying start, and yeah, that would pretty much start the battle. Now Naruto would feel an ominous presence in the forest, and he would tell one of his Anbu, since number one, he's still technically the head captain of the Anbus, but it's like really Kakashi. So he told Kakashi about this, and Kakashi would tell him that they'll have extra Anbu there. Now, while Team 7 or Menma would be taking a piss like usual, or like Ken and Naruto, a snake would attack. Now, Naruto would actually feel like a more bloodlusted, person there, but he can't really sense it. I mean, he can sense it, but there's just so many barriers in the force of death that they can't really sense that. Now, pretty much, Naruto would feel a little suspicious, but he'd wait a little longer until he actually, can sense the person. Not that he's not strong, that he can't sense the person, but he just wants to make sure that it's just not some crazy contestant, because they didn't have Garo there. But basically, Team 7 would get attacked by Orochimaru, and pretty much Naruto would feel that, kind of like that killer intent. And he would actually sense the person this time, and this would be none other than Orochimaru. And all this stuff would start to click together when Mizuki, him working for Orochimaru, and basically saying that there'll be something big soon. And this is probably what he was referring to. Now Naruto would pretty much merge with the shadows and pretty much head towards that part of the forest. Now he'd pretty much merge out of the shadows and kind of dive towards Orochimaru, or what would this be? Orochimaru, since he took off his skin, so he doesn't look like the grass ninja. Now he'd pretty much go to slice off Orochimaru's head, which would work. Now Orochimaru would just regurgitate himself, and he'd pretty much recognize Naruto. Now Team 7 would be like, Sensei, what are you doing here? Now Naruto would pretty much tell him to stay behind him, while Naruto and Orochimaru would start to fight. Now Naruto would ask Orochimaru if he's here for Sasuke, and Orochimaru that says that he's pretty interested in Sasuke since he is an Uchiha and he wants the Sharingan. After this, Naruto would get pretty serious, and he would go Shikai and pretty much raise his blade towards Orochimaru and use a Hado. Now, if you guys never seen this happen, I'm actually making this up. Like, I'm making it so he can make a Kido, and then it would come out of his sword. So he would do like Hado number 63, Raiko, and a huge yellow lightning ball would come out of his sword, kind of like a Sero from Ginjo, but like this time it's a Kido. So it would be sent at Orochimaru, and Orochimaru would pretty much use a wind attack, since I think wind does neutralize lightning. But he would realize this is downfall before he'd get electrified, because nature elements doesn't work when the attack is made out of reishi or ryatsu. Now Naruto would pretty much use the Takioni to get above Orochimaru before he would stab Orochimaru through the lung. Now Orochimaru would pretty much use a healing technique to try and heal himself and take some pills and try to get a boost in the fight. Now Orochimaru would start to try to use his bloodlust on Naruto, but Naruto would outpost his own bloodlust, which would bring Orochimaru to his knees. Naruto would then pretty much seal Orochimaru with a similar Kido that Kisuke used on Aizen, but just not the similar system, but basically just seal Orochimaru, so he can't move, stuff like that, and he can capture Orochimaru. Now Naruto would capture Orochimaru and pretty much tell his team that they can continue. They would continue Team 7 would continue the Forest of Death, and they would get the scroll from Team Dosu. Let's just say they found Team Dosu and they attacked and got the scroll. Now, pretty much, Naruto would head back to Hiruzen and give him the sealed form of Orochimaru. Now, Orochimaru would get put in jail for a very, very long time, and Naruto would go back in the joining lounge. Now they'd go back to watching his team, and they'd be doing pretty good. He just saw them take down Team Dosu, or the team with sound techniques, as you could see, and he was pretty proud of them. And they got the skull, and they passed, so he was also pretty proud of that. Now Naruto would pretty much, be unscrolled, or he can feel them opening scroll, which he would pretty much be summoned. Now after this, he said, yo, good job, team. Before he'd pretty much, this timeline, Sasuke does not have the curse mark, since Naruto actually saved them in time. Now, Naruto would tell them that they actually have a few days to rest since the other contestants haven't actually came to the tower yet. So they want to give them a little time to come to the tower since it's only been 1 day, or not even 1 day, like an hour. So they'd have to wait a few days. Now, Team 7 pretty much rest for those days, and Naruto would just be chilling, waiting for, watching and seeing if any new teams would, pass. Now, he'd be pretty interested in Team Gaara since, number one, Gaara is the Jinchuriki of the One Tails. Yeah, I said that right. And they have a pretty strong wind user and a pretty strong puppet user. They have pretty good potential. Now, he's not going to train them or anything. He just sees them as pretty strong opponents. Now, the third part of the tuning exams would take place, and people like Naruto, Sasuke, and Menma. Naruto, Menma, Sasuke, Sakura, and the other contestants would be placed against each other. Just instead of Naruto, it'd be Menma versus Kiba, Sasuke versus Yoroi, Sakura versus Ino, Gaara versus Lee, and Shikamaru versus Kin. If I missed anyone, I guess tell me that in the comments. But yeah, that's the only recognizable fights I can remember. Oh yeah, it'd also be Choji versus Dosu. Yeah. Now, basically, the third part of the chunin exams would commence with Kabuto forfeiting, and pretty much the fights would go similar. Menma would easily take down Kiba due to Kiba being arrogant and Naruto being twice the amount of strength that he was in Naruto's canon counterpart. So Menma would, God, I'm getting them mixed up. Menma would just slap Kiba with a Rasengan, and that would be the end of that. I don't really see why Menma wouldn't learn the Rasengan, since Naruto does have access to learn stuff like that or teach stuff like that. So he can definitely, God, I'm saying definitely a lot, but he can definitely use the Rasengan, or Menma can. And Sasuke would, learn the Chidori from Kakashi. Now, not saying that Kakashi wouldn't teach him, since Kakashi does actually see himself in Sasuke, or seeing part of him that are similar to Sasuke. Now, yeah, but Sasuke wouldn't use the Chidori in this part. He would just use his taijutsu to quickly take down Yoroi, and Sasuke would pretty much be in the finale part of the tuning exams, and Menma would be as well. Now the next fight would be Sakura versus Ino, and this time when Sakura has her chakra-infused fist and water and earth elemental mastery, then she can definitely take down Ino with a water-style raging waves, or a chakra-infused kick or punch. Now, that would pretty much mark the end of Ino's time in the tuning exams, and Sakura would be moved up in the tuning exams. Now the next fight would be Shikamaru versus Kin. Now Shikamaru would actually win, just like per usual, since he has that big brain. Now after that, it would pretty much be Gaara versus Shikamaru. Now Gaara versus Shikamaru, Gaara versus Lee. Now Gaara would still win by usual after getting pressed for a while, and then he would pretty much crush Lee's legs. Now, after that would happen, Lee would be sent to the infirmary, and the final battle would be Neji versus Hinata. Now, pretty much all the Jonings would pretty much interfere just like usual. It would be Naruto, the Proctor, and Kunai and Guy. They would pretty much do the same thing, and yeah, they would completely stop Neji from killing Hinata. Now that would be the end of the second part of the tuning exams, with Hiruzen announcing that they'll have 1 month to train and that they should use it wisely. Now after that, he'd pretty much say goodbye, and everyone would be released to the village or to their hotels, whatever, since they came out from outside the village. Now Naruto would meet up with his team and basically tell them that he'll be training them for the month. Now the next month would pretty much be Menma learning to use some control his massive amounts of chakra, and basically start to master the Rasengan, where he doesn't need a shadow clone to actually do it. Now Sasuke will learn the Chidori, and he should be able to use it around 4 times a day. Not that Sasuke didn't learn it before. I mean, when I say learn, I mean like master it. No, not like master, but he would pretty much start to get to the intermediate level of using the Chidori. Sakura pretty much learned more taijutsu and learned a few healing techniques, since maybe for around a week or two she would be at the hospital learning the healing techniques from the medical ninja. So that'd be the end, like the what Team 7 would learn over the time skip for 1 month. Now, this will pretty much be the end of this episode. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Enma would be ready to participate in the tuning exams. Not that Naruto's participating, but he'll be watching. And yeah, that would pretty much start the third part of the finale part of the tuning exams and the end of this episode, like I said. Now, I think I'll finish this series in 2 parts, but don't quote me on it. But yeah, without further ado, guys, peace out.